Welcome back. It is MRN's Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit here on MAV TV. We normally go to the Hercules Tire Hotline. We don't like to call it the Hercules Hot Seat because we're really not going to grill the guy. So our Hercules Tires guest, Frankie Kerr, Hall of Famer, joins us. Hey, man, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We are fantastic. Frankie, I mean, I look at your life and I say, you have to be 90 years old to do all of the things you did, and you're 57 years old. You're still a young man. I guess I'm going to go back to the start. Where did you first, and we'll share your story along the way, but where did the racing bug first bite you?
My dad was in the racing, as a kid, and I had 3 brothers and a sister, and he had an old midget, right, flathead midget, way back in the day when everybody had race cars, right? And I had to go out there and hang out with him and learn, and nobody else did. And when he sold the midget, the guy didn't have enough money to pay for it, but he had a quarter midget there. He said, well, I'll give you the quarter midget for part of the payment. So he brings this quarter midget home and says, hey, which one of you kids want to drive? And like I was the only one that really wanted to actually work right on it. And I ran quarter midgets for quite a while, and it turned into be actually a business there for a while, and as a kid, and I had some really good mentors that helped me along the way as far as learning the trade, and so went on to that, and then built dirt modifieds because they were close to their home, right, and then switched to sprint cars.
And work is indeed what it is, because it's so amazing. I was reading a little backstory on you. At 11 years old, you started building your own motors.
Yep.
At 14, you started working in a machine shop. And at the age of 15, you fielded your first homemade modified
Yes.
that you hired a driver for because you weren't old enough at the time. I mean, how much does a driver back then at 15 years old cost to field your own race car and driver at that time?
Well, back then, thank God he didn't cost anything, because just like the rest of us, we wanted to do it, right? We just wanted to race. And then I got the bright idea, I'm going to take my brother's driver's license, and I'll start driving. And so I was Bob Kerr for a while. And
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh, that's phenomenal. Okay, so you're over in eastern Pennsylvania, near Philadelphia. That is dirt modified country. Central Pennsylvania, as we've well established then and now, is sprint car country. The decision to go over and start racing in sprint cars, what all went into that, and why is that the course you took?
I really wanted to race sprint cars really anyway, but the convenience of going to Central Pennsylvania was not there for me at that time, and modifieds was. Right? I could go to 5 racetracks 45 minutes from home, where 3 hours was Williams Grove and them. So when it got to a point where the modified purse started going down and the sprint car purse was going way up, hey, let's go sprint car racing, right? At that time, the big blocks were still legal, and so I had big block modifieds, transferred, the motor cost was cheap, and went racing sprint cars.
Unbelievable. And, it's incredible because you broke your back 3 times racing sprint cars. I believe you were even paralyzed there for a short time at the age of 17.
Yeah.
Just your love, your passion for the sport of racing, and it still continues today. Now you're on the NASCAR side of things. You've been back to the dirt world, back in the NASCAR side of things. Just your love and passion for racing. If you could go back and relive any year in anything that you've done in the racing world, what would it be and why?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, still sprint cars are the love, right? You see Kyle Larson and Stewart and all them. I mean, they still go back to it. I mean, there's a reason, because there's nothing that you can do in this world that is more exciting than driving a sprint car. Nothing. I've tried it. Trust me. There is nothing that exciting. So I would say 1994 was probably the year of years for me. I mean, it didn't matter what I did. I was either running top 5 or winning, whether it was with a wing, without a wing, getting other people's cars. It was just a great year.
Yet the irony of it is, Frankie, when we look at your career, you rolled along with all kinds of success, All-Star championships, 53 wins in the All-Star circuit, and then came 2000. Okay, you're in the middle of Ohio Speed Weeks. You go to Fremont, you whoop them, you win the race, and you wake up the next morning and retire?
I was building parts for people down here in my shop, and hey, come work for us. And it was like, I'm doing great. I'm still winning, leading the points. We already won 2 or 3 races in Speed Week. And we got up the next day, getting ready for KC, and we had an issue with the truck, and it was just like a switch. Like, what else do I have to prove? Like, I didn't win Knoxville, didn't win the Kings Royal. Should have won it twice, right? Was leading, and didn't. But what else really? Like, I need to probably try something else. I'm going to turn 40 here soon, right?
Right, yeah.
And, Lynn Paxton, the great Lynn Paxton in Pennsylvania, when I got inducted to the Pennsylvania Hall of Fame, he did the exact same thing.
He did.
Won, 39 and a half. Hey, I'm going to be 40 here. I quit. Right in the middle of the season. I can remember just like it was yesterday, like, oh my God, Lynn Paxton retired. It's the end of the world. I mean, one of my heroes, right? So it just seemed like the right thing to do. The kids were getting older. They used to travel with us. We homeschooled them for several years.
Yeah.
And like, let's try maybe being a real person. Like a real job
Normal,
where you're getting a paycheck at the end of the week, and the kids could go to school and worry about their education in the future. And that's really, to be honest, was for the kids. Make sure they had a better life than I did.
Yeah, neat stuff, indeed. We need to step away because when we come back, he retires at 40 and carves out an incredible NASCAR career. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Welcome back. It is MRN's Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit on MAV TV. Our Hercules Stars guest is Frankie Kerr. Frank Kerr in the NASCAR world. Frankie Kerr in the sprint car world. One of my favorite people on the planet. Okay, Frankie retires as a sprint car driver. Frank decides to become a NASCAR mechanic on into crew chief. That transition, we talked about the family, we talked about everything like that, but what did you just drop everything and move to North Carolina? How did that go?
Pretty much. That's about,
wow.
We literally sold everything, the racing part, in 2 weeks. Like, we had good equipment and nice stuff. And the last thing we had of the team was the truck and trailer. So Eric Almirola's grandfather bought it for Eric when he was coming up.
Okay.
So it was great for me because it became a moving van to bring everything down here in the trailer. And I said, yeah, I'll meet you in North Carolina. It's a lot closer to Florida for you, right? So it worked out for both of us. It was a moving van, and he was closer. So, yeah, we literally sold everything and moved down here. And, it's been a good life here also. Become a crew chief is far and few between for a lot of people, right? So I've been pretty blessed.
What was that transition like coming, you were already building parts down here before you actually moved, but going from dirt to asphalt, you've crew chief guys like Labonte and Ambrose, and you've been with very big names in the sport. Was there any, restraints coming from dirt and transitioning to asphalt?
Race cars are race cars, right? They still have the same tendencies, same things. They don't turn or they're too loose, whatever. A lot of that still applies. I had to, study hard for aerodynamics and work hard on geometry with the cars. Mm-hmm. But just put more hours in and figure it out, right? So the biggest thing for me was we used to get up at 9 o'clock every day. Now you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's true. The sprint, you used to work in hotel parking lots. Now you actually work in a shop, right?
Yeah, that's right. You got a roof over your head, so that's okay. But the biggest thing was the time change. really. You know, your whole life was 9 to 3 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
right? Now it's 5 to 11. So that part changed.
Fascinating. It really, truly is. And right now, crew chief on the number 72 car. We've seen Corey LaJoy and then Cole Witt also drive the race car. The challenge of being a crew chief on a small team. What's that like? How do you manage that as far as from a racer's perspective?
It's good and it's bad.
Yeah.
Right? The good part is you're back working on race cars. You're back going out there and building rear end housings again, truck arms, and whatever it is, and trying to figure out what your race car needs, right? Whereas big teams, when we were at Waltrips and so forth, you have 39 engineers figuring stuff out, and like you can only look at so much data and say, okay, we're going to do this, right? Yeah. Now you have to figure it out on your own, and for what we are, we actually run really well for what we have. And it's, I'm not going to say it's easy. It's very tough, but it's back to grassroots racing almost.
That's phenomenal. I respect that. I really like that. Finally, Frankie, one of my favorite stories. And sometimes I think you like telling this story, and sometimes I think you blush telling this story, okay? We all know Hall of Famer Jeff Gordon, great race car driver. But folks, joining us on the stage, or on the show, is the one guy who replaced Jeff Gordon in a race car. That is true. What's the story there? That Gordon kid, he's never going to make it, of course, right?
Well, thank God it worked out great for both of us.
Yes, sir.
I was driving for Bob Feder at the time out of Pennsylvania, and we were traveling, doing the USA circuit at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff was running Stan Schoaf car, the McBride and Schoaf car, and they struggled. We went to like 9 races together, at the same racetrack, and he turned over 8 of them. So it was, hard for Stan because he's used to winning. He used to have Jack Hewitt driving his cars and winning a lot. And we were at Peevely, Missouri, and I blew up the night before. And I was out in the parking lot early, changing motor out there. And Mr. Schoaf walked up and said, "Well, you're out here awful early." I said, "Well, I have a lot of work to do, sir." He goes, "I'm Dan Schoaf." I said, "Good to meet you." And went in and have some lunch with Vic. And he walked up to the table. He said, "I like your phone number." He goes, "A guy that works that hard." He goes, "That's who I want driving my race car." He goes, "That young man that's driving my car now, we're having issues with. Would you like to drive my car?" And I said, "I'll call you." And it turned out to be a 12-year great relationship.
Yeah, and Jeff Gordon's turned out pretty well also.
Well, it was good because, Jeff had to take another avenue, right? He what am I going to do for a living? So the midgets and the pavement was open.
Right.
And Thursday Night Thunder.
Yeah.
Which made a lot of great race car drivers out of that, right? Became famous. And it worked out great for Jeff. I mean, he had talent, and it took me a while in that situation also to get going in that same car. And then working it and not giving up was the big thing.
Yes. You worked it, never gave up. Jeff worked it, never gave up. And we've got 2 great racing stories, that's for sure. Frankie, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you.
How about that? Frankie Kerr, Frank Kerr as he's known in NASCAR. I just consider him a friend. Love chatting with him. We need to step away. When we come back, our Tweet Your Seat, Tweets of the Week.